Unsyndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
So, Shep, how does this sound? Wolverines and Spartans in college basketball, Wolverines and Spartans in college hockey. You in?
Listen, in the words of Kirk Cousins, I like that. I like that a lot. That would be thrilling for us. Sean, how would the rest of the nation accept that?
Unbelievable. Hey, listen, Shep, we've had Duke and North Carolina cram down our pie hole for so many years. Take a piece of that. Right? Take a piece
of Alabama, Georgia in football.
Right. Come on.
There's not enough people who care about college hockey, but for you and I, that would be epic. It really would be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So,
Sean, good for the Big Ten, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, overall, good for the Big Ten, good for the state of Michigan in college hockey. Some people I think were rooting for Ohio State against U of M in the Big Ten championship. That way you would have seen 3 teams from the Big Ten. I'm sorry, you would have seen 4 teams, right? Because Wisconsin's in it. So you would have seen 4 teams from the Big Ten. But instead, you get Michigan, Michigan State, and Whiskey, I believe. Minnesota's not in it, right?
Mm-mm.
Don't think so. Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking Minnesota State because they open, I believe, with Western Michigan. But anyway, so that's what you've seen. One way or the other, Michigan a 1 seed, Michigan State a 1 seed. Good for the Broncos as a 1 seed. Pretty awesome. So We're living in good times right now, brother.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny, Shep. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from it. It's great, like college basketball. You have 6 of 16. Okay, respect. It's crazy when you think about it that this conference hasn't won a championship in 26 years. And it's crazy. I mean, even in hockey, and it's Michigan State in both. It's Michigan State in 2000 and 2007 in hockey. I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, even with the success of this conference, it's high time that they win a championship. If you want to say, hey, we're the best, you got to at some point in time win a championship, right?
So I guess the obvious answer is yes. And Tom, thanks for the correction. Penn State is in, so that's another Big Ten team. I don't subscribe to that theory. I'm probably wrong here, Sean, but I don't subscribe to it. You've got 6 teams in. So just so I'm clear, they get if there are 3 teams from the Big Ten. Let's just say Purdue, Michigan, and Illinois, and Duke wins the national championship. Are you trying to tell me the ACC with 1 team left and the Sweet 16 is the best conference? I would say no.
Fair logic.
Big Ten is. I think the Big Ten has proven that they are the best basketball conference in America. Do they have to win a championship? It sure would be nice to put that proverbial icing on the cake, but I think they've proven right now, especially when Iowa beat Florida, you've got 6 teams, and you've got, I would say there are 4 legitimate teams that feel like they could make the Final Four. Michigan State could definitely make the Final Four. Illinois could definitely make the Final Four. Michigan can definitely make the Final Four. And I bet you there's a lot of people who feel the way Purdue is playing could make the Final Four. I doubt Iowa or Nebraska has many followers outside of Iowa and Nebraska, but I think that the Big Ten has proven its strength. And then you look at who's won the national championships in football recently. So,
you know what? It always reminds me of those, Shep. It takes me back, and I start to shiver a little bit. And this is what I mean by that. And again, Penn State is playing Minnesota Duluth, if I'm not mistaken, right? Penn State's playing Minnesota Duluth. Shep, do you know what we did for years around here with college football? I remember having this conversation so many times with people, even some of our friends in the media. Hey, congratulations. Our 8-4 beat your 8-4 team. That means we're great. Unfortunately, we've had so many conversations like that in the past, where you look at bowl season and you go, hey, all right, All right. Well, the Big Ten, they went 6-1 in bowl season or something. It's like, yeah, how many of those games are hooray, our 8-4 beat your 8-4? You know what I mean? And I think that's what we were left to say for so many years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but now what do we get? Now we get teams that are winning, at least in basketball, 28, 29, 30 games, right? And you're getting teams in hockey that all season long have been 1 or 2 primarily. Okay. Western Michigan's been up there too. So I think it's a time where you're looking at it, and most people who have friends who have kids who are looking at colleges, or kids who are just looking at colleges and can play those sports, are going, you know what? These are 2 pretty damn good options, or the Big Ten is a pretty damn good option, or other schools are looking at, we got to be like that team. Other conferences are saying, we've got to start giving more to our schools like that. I mean, there are certain teams left, Iowa and Texas, I would guess, and I'm sure you talked about this morning. We talked about it on Braylon's show as well on Woodward. I don't look at either one of those teams possibly being a Cinderella team, but it sure is fun to watch some of these teams act as Cinderella, even though they've got a lot of money in their pockets. You know what I mean?
It is amazing how that works out, isn't it?
Tom says Pistons are up by 10, Sean. They're up by 10 without Cade Cunningham. I know Doncic left early, and I know LeBron has walked around constantly going like this to make sure everybody knows, hey, I'm hurt. I'm still playing, everybody, but I'm hurt. What a guy. How much has he damaged his legacy, Sean? No, I'm serious. Sean, I want you to think about this for a minute. He has worn not 1 but 2 patches this year.
It's embarrassing.
Because he passed Kareem. Everybody had to know it.
Yeah, everybody.
And then he made more field goals than anybody else. So this was my question. Did Gretzky do that? When he passed Gordie Howe, did he do that?
You know what he did? If you remember, he had the last year. There was a whole grand tour, and remember he announced it late in the year. This is it. Like he didn't want to make a big spectacle about it, and every barn he went into seemingly made a big spectacle out of it. But he announced it ahead of time. What do you want me to say? I deal with. I'm sure you know Tom Mazaway hates LeBron. Like it is an unnatural hatred for LeBron.
I can't stand him either. Not Maz, but I mean LeBron.
But at least you can say that Maz, I think, ranks him the 178th greatest player of all time. I think
that's idiotic.
That's where Maz is at with stuff like that. But I think the load management stuff the last few years, all of that stuff. Yes, I'm sorry. I think it's a huge factor.
Yeah, when your birth certificate says 41, I mean, I get the load management to a certain extent. It seems like he's taking certain games that he's not going to fare very well at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, not just Gretzky, but Pete Rose didn't do that. Martin Brodeur didn't do that. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passed and became the all-time leading scorer, he didn't do that. Hank Aaron didn't do that. All these different things. I mean, the only guy I can think of is maybe Ricky Henderson when he steals third base and he raises the base. I mean, nobody gets that patch. It's obnoxious. Yeah. And I don't understand how more people or how anybody can continue to keep him in such high regard. You can appreciate how good he is and how great he's been, and he has been. But for people to say, oh, he's my favorite player, and I don't see how you can do that with the self-indulgence that he's constantly put out there over the last couple of years.
He doesn't need to do it.
I know.
Is there some deep-seated insecurity in him? It's really odd, Shep, because he doesn't. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. He's one of the best players we'll ever see. I mean, really, whether you like the guy or not, I think that's inconsequential. I think you have to acknowledge that he doesn't have to do all the shenanigans that he does. I don't get it.
I'm just wondering if he's going to wear a patch for most field goals missed or most turnovers. I'm waiting for that patch to hit the jersey, and we haven't seen that. The other thing is what David brings up. He said his whole son situation was a joke. 100%. But let me ask you this, David and Sean. Who's more on, LeBron James or the Lakers organization? Come on. It's unreal that this is allowed. There are 2 guys who, from all the years I've been covering, where people are super afraid of offending, that literally rule the media in their sport. Tiger Woods and LeBron James.
Yeah.
If you cross either one of them, you're in deep trouble. The media makes sure they go out of their way to not offend them, not be too hard on them. I read an article tonight, Sean, where somebody wrote that LeBron James is embracing his new role. And I thought to myself, embracing his new role? He has to play that role. That team blows when he tries to be the number one guy. That team is run by Doncic. And now lately, I mean, it's primarily Doncic, unless you want to count Austin Reeves. But he's got to accept the role. But the media spins it like, look at what a great teammate he's being.
Give me a break. No doubt about it. I want to ask about our Tigers. Any predictions? We'll get to it. I promise you.
Yeah.
Shep, it is crazy in the Eastern Conference right now. Right now, from a hockey standpoint, right now, Ottawa is playing Rangers with the one game in hand that the Red Wings have. Ottawa wins tonight. They're up 1-0 at last check. They're 1 point behind the Wings. Right. Equal games played. Just in time for a showdown tomorrow night at Little Caesars Arena. I was there Saturday, Shep. I'm actually going tomorrow as well. The atmosphere was unbelievable on Saturday night. It really was. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and it is high time that the Red Wings end up in the playoff for the first time at Little Caesars Arena, the first time in 10 years. And I'll be honest with you, it's not looking good right now. There's no other way to say that.
Well, I did see where Answer Khan of MLive.com said Dylan Larkin was skating on the first line today. That's encouraging.
Game time decision, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I think game time decision.
I don't think John Gibson, the wrist shot that gave Boston the 3-2 lead, they ended up winning 4-2. I don't think that happens very often. My confidence in Gibson is there. Doesn't mean I think this team's going to go on some type of postseason run, but I think they can make it. I really do. I think they can make it because I think Gibson has been just too good this year for me to doubt him. I'm as I watch this team play, though, a little bit more disappointed about the acquisition of David Perron. As much as I liked him before while he was a Red Wing, that was still a few years ago. They just needed something more, and they just didn't address it. And it's so damn frustrating, and especially frustrating for fans. My question has always been this. What is it you're seeing from some of your young guys that we're not, that force you to protect them so desperately in favor of getting an already established veteran who could help this team right now?
Can I answer this first? Austin said 12 games left. How many does Gibby start? 13. How's that? 13.
He has to.
I mean, no. It was funny, Shep, the game against the Habs on Thursday night. They were outplayed. John Gibson was the best player on the ice, period. Mm-hmm. And in the third period, 2 good bounces go their way, 2 bad bounces go against the Habs, and they both end up in the end of the net. And that's goaltending. And it wasn't like Dobish was bad. One went off a pinball, and the other one, Matheson said, I'm going to put this on a tee for you, DeBrincat. All right, here you go. I want you to go in with just 3 minutes left. Not that I was throwing things in my house or anything like that. But you know why they're there? It's Gibson. I mean, phenomenal. And nobody saw that coming. Props to Steve for making that
the first month of the season.
My goodness gracious.
In December, not good. It's really since January was when he's been good. And you're right. Not many people saw that at all. But because of what he's done and because of what you just said, that's the reason he's got to start 13 of the next 12.
All right. So who do we count as young guys? Are you talking about, are you including, say, Lucas Raymond in there? Are you including Lucas Raymond in the young guys thing?
No, I'm here for a few years. I'm counting prospects like Carter Mazer, for example.
All right. I'll go a step further. I thought Casper would be, I don't want to say, I thought he'd be a bigger impact than he was this year based on the way that he finished the year.
I think a lot of people felt that way.
I expected a hell of a lot more for ASP for all the poems and poetry and haiku people were writing over that guy. Mm-hmm. I'm being completely honest with you. I said it on this very show months ago, and to some of our friends at Woodward, I was like, guys, this kid's in over his head. I'm sorry. He's in, and there's a reason he sat the last couple of weeks and got sent back down to Grand Rapids. So
right. I like the Justin Falk acquisition. I like that.
I love the Justin Falk acquisition.
Even though I wanted Dougie Hamilton, I'll take Justin Falk. He was one of those guys. But from a forward standpoint, and we've talked about this because of the inconsistency and of a guy like Marco Kasper, and for the most part, outside of maybe your top 5 forwards, I would love to know what this team sees in certain guys, not to kick anybody while they're struggling a little bit, but what is it about Michael? What is it about Rasmussen that you've? Not that anyone's knocking on the door saying, "Steve, I got to have him." I just think when I'm looking at prospects, there are certain guys that I feel like, I don't know this from inside knowledge, but I feel like he's going to hold on to, and he doesn't want to risk losing. And among them, you can use Marco Kasper if you want. I don't think he would trade Lucas Raymond. He's arguably your most productive player, maybe your best player. So I'm looking at the Kaspers of the world, for example, the Mazers of the world. You used Sandin Pellikka, others.
Danielson's another one. Show me something.
Right.
Like, I'm not being funny. Show me something. I mean, I get it. You're a young player, and there's going to be brief glimpses, and then there's going to be horrific moments and everything like that. But I think that's part of the issue here, Shep. And tell me if this sounds familiar. Having a front row seat for the Al Avila era, if you're going to write checks for so many of these guys, and I'm not saying it was Al in particular, okay? But if you're going to whisper to so many of the water carriers about this guy and this guy and that guy, and then when this guy and that guy and that guy comes up and they aren't showing much, well, what are you going to expect people to say? Well, wait a second. I was kind of sold a bill of goods on this guy that I'm not necessarily seeing. And again, we're talking about guys. I'm not writing these guys off. I'm not writing Kasper off. I'm not writing Danielson off. I'm not even writing ASP off. But is this what we've been waiting for? And you're finally ready to unleash them on the world. And how much of an impact have they made?
Well, and how good can they really be if they're not taking the place of some guys who are questionable in the first place? Right? I mean, it's not like this team is super deep. It's not like this team's third and fourth line make you go, holy crap, how are you going to crack this lineup? That's not the case. Everybody has said this team needs better depth at the forwards position, okay? And yet you don't see the young guys beating out some of the guys who are currently on this team. Why is that? That's a problem.
Yep. ASP minus 21. You can see the offensive talent flashes. I agree with that. And that type of D is the future of the NHL. See Quinn Hughes, seen Lane Hudson, et cetera, et cetera. He simply was getting pushed around too much and bit off more than he could chew. The game was way too physical. I told our mutual friends and co-workers at Woodward, Spencer and Justin, that back in December. He wasn't NHL ready. And I think that's just the way it. And again, that doesn't mean that it's not going to eventually click, but I think if you're going to be that slight, you have to be able to avoid taking hits. And I think it was too much for him this year.
He also got more exposed because he was on the second line. So if he's playing third line D, that's a little different. You're not playing as many minutes. You're seeing, for the most part, you're seeing different lines and that perhaps you match up a little bit better against. So, yeah, you said that from the very beginning, and I don't disagree with you. I would just like to – that's why the importance of a Justin Falk is there, because then it allows him to move down a run. I remember asking Mike Babcock one time how good Brad Stewart was, and I said, well, I don't understand why, if he's this good, why doesn't he just play on the first line of defense? He goes, because some guys are really good right where they are. And he just felt like Brad Stewart was a good second-line defenseman. There's no need to pull him up because then suddenly you might be a little exposed. And he was right.
And I think a lot of times, Shep, especially when you're not quite ready, sometimes you put guys in positions that they shouldn't be in. Does that make sense? Sometimes
it does make sense.
I mean, the Detroit Lions were notorious for doing that, right? Shep's played left tackle his whole life. Why don't we throw him in at center? I think everything will work out okay.
Not a bad idea.
Sure. Sounds good.
That's the whole point. When we always talk to coaches and we ask them what's one of the most important things a coach can do, what does he say? Put your players in a position to be successful. Well, you didn't do that with ASP early on. Maybe it was out of necessity. Now it helps him hopefully a little bit more. How are you doing that with some of those forwards that you have? It's a tough one to swallow, I think. Tough pill to swallow. Larkin is an elite second-line center. The Wings will never threaten without a true number one. I got to tell you, Jace, I thought the same thing for a long time. Then when he plays the way he did in the Four Nations and he played the way he did in the Olympics, and you have other players talking about him and with such great reverence, they really did. I mean, maybe I'm way off.
I'm laughing because Todd says Sean hates Dylan Larkin. That was going on. See, Sean hates Dylan Larkin. Go on. Okay. All right.
This is something you and I talked about last year. Okay. He's not truly a number one. Well, guess what? I mean, at times, he sure seems like he plays like a number one. And is he Connor McDavid? Is he, Nathan McKinnon? Certain other players? No.
Nick Suzuki.
Well, that's because he's a Canadian. It's not like he's the worst number one center out there in the National Hockey League. I think he has proven how valuable he truly can be.
Shep, I would challenge anybody out there. Get yourself, go to NHL.com and look at every team, and then you do it yourself. I'd be intrigued to see where people would put Dylan Larkin in terms of centers and in the National Hockey League. And it's not just points. There's a lot of different things to look at. Suzuki's on pace for over 100 points this year. He's on pace for 101 right now. And, this is a guy that kind of took his big jump. But I think you just hit on something that bears repeating, Shep. How much of it has to do with what's around him? I'm serious, because I agree with what you said. He looked really good in Four Nations. He looked really good at the Olympics. Mm-hmm. And Nick Suzuki, it doesn't hurt him to be playing with Cole Caulfield, who's on pace for 51 goals right now. It doesn't hurt him to be playing with Uri Slavkowski right now, which that kid, you want to talk about a kid that took a giant step. It's almost like he realized, hey, I got a big body and I can use my big body to my advantage and everything. So how much of it is who he's playing with? I'd be really intrigued to see if Steve improved the talent around him. I'd be really intrigued to see if there was a next level there for Dylan. Shep, honestly, I think one thing that, in fairness to Dylan Larkin, he's been cast with a lot of less than talent in his career. He really has. In this long, arduous rebuild, I don't think he's had some of the best talent in the world to work with.
No, I don't disagree with you on that. We're not making excuses for him. You talked about playing with Caulfield. He's got like 40 plus goals, right? He's
on pace for 51. Yeah, he's on.
Yeah. So look, I mean, in team sports, you're helping each other out, and they're trying to help you too. I just think there's been some pretty tough situations that he's been put in. It doesn't mean he's automatically the number one center, and it doesn't mean that he's necessarily a top 10. I respect what Jason's saying here, but I think that's a label that many people have used, including yours truly, that Dylan Larkin is having a hard time shaking in this town, because a lot of us have said that for a while now. And I guess the question would be, what does he have to do? He's on pretty damn good pace. Everybody wants a 40-goal scorer, okay? The Red Wings, just outside of DeBrincat, probably don't have one. I'm not saying Larkin is that kind of guy either. You give me 30, 35. I mean, I love a Kucherov year. I'd love a McKinnon year. I love a McDavid, a Draisaitl, a Matthews type of year. I just don't see that happening. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a number one center, though.
Well, can we go back to the young players for just a second? Please. And I know people are going to call me a Hab slapdick, and I don't care. Okay. You know what? I would rather deal with a kid like Ivan Demidov, who's 20 years old, and who some nights looks like the best player on the ice, and some nights you can't even see him. But at the end of the year, he's going to get you 50, 60 points in a rookie year. Then, just wait, you're going to see it. Oh, no, Shep, really, I promise you're going to see it. You know what I mean? Young players are maddening, all right? But at least if a young player is putting up productivity and on pace for 50, 60 points, you're not asking me to believe in the invisible.
But if he's not doing that, then
you get my point.
You got to do something about it, right?
You get my point. Point.
My problem is, if you're leaving camp in Traverse City, and some of these young guys that you have high expectations for are not playing up to snuff. What are we seeing from them? Like the whole age thing is starting to bother me a little bit, to be honest with you. I'm not saying anybody in Detroit's system is Macklin Celebrini or Matthew Schaefer, but if a guy can play, a guy can play. I don't give a crap how old he is. It's funny. In college, we never think about that. Put in a freshman. Oh, he's only a freshman. No, in college hockey, A, he's probably a little bit older, but B, he's just good enough to play. Okay. Even Dylan Larkin did that as a freshman. Okay. He's good enough to play. We don't see that in college basketball or anything. For some reason, we have a serious problem with that at the highest level of sports. And I get it. They're playing against men, they're playing against experience, and it's a completely different level than college. But it's like, wait a minute now. I mean, it took Cooper Flagg a little while to get going, and suddenly he got going pretty good. It's what's going on right now in baseball. Are you going to hold back a guy like Kevin McGonigal because he's only 20 years old? No, you shouldn't hold him back just because he's 20. You hold him back if he's not good enough. And for most people, I think he's shown that he is good enough. Personally, I wouldn't take him north, but that's a different story.
If any of these guys had blown up at the AHL level, it'd be a whole lot easier to buy in, but they've not shown that. Jason, I agree. I think what happens is you're asking people to believe in the invisible, and you got to trust us. You got to trust us. Oh, this kid's the real deal. It's like, I would rather deal with the ups and downs of a young player who makes you pull hair out of your head 3, 4, 5 times a night. Okay.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he might have a 2-point game. He might have a 3-point game. He might have 58 points as a 20-year-old. And I'll take that, knowing full well that development's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at Alan says TJ Hughes should be a Red Wing. Amen. I mean, are you, I would assume, I hope they're out there trying to sign him. I mean, you talk about success. He's one of 2 Michigan players to have 50 points or more this year, which is a pretty damn good season, right, for a college guy. And he's probably the best offensive player on the number 1 offensive team in the country. And he's in your backyard right there. That doesn't mean you get dibs to it. It's not automatic, right? But I would hope they would be in on that conversation, fully well aware too that Chris Draper, who's Steve Yzerman's right-hand man, his son plays at Michigan with TJ Hughes. They got a pretty good scouting report on him, and don't tell me he hasn't seen him.
Yeah, exactly. Shep, of course, baseball season starts Wednesday night. Tigers start 8:05? 8:05 Thursday. I think it's 8:05.
Against San Diego.
Got to win the division, right? Got to win the division.
Well, I've said that the last 2 years, and people have gotten mad at me, thinking that I'm crying in spoiled milk. I think when you're the best talent, top to bottom, and you have the best manager, you should win the God blessed division. Yes. So I'm going to say yes, they should win the division, and I think they should win it comfortably. They have the best manager, they have the best pitching coach, they have the best pitcher, they have one of the best outfielders in the entire league, let alone the entire division. So I don't think they have the best player. I think Jose Ramirez and Bobby Witt Jr. probably 1, Jose Ramirez 2 as the best players within the division. But I do think that Detroit should win this division. I think the bigger question is, are you taking Kevin McGonigal north? Does he deserve to make this team? They played Colorado today. They play Colorado tomorrow in Arizona. And then you have to decide. If they haven't, I don't believe they've decided yet. Not that I've seen.
I think Alan said Tigers confirmed he made the team. Are you talking about McConaughey? And by the way, it is 4:10 on Thursday. Thank you. It's 4:10.
Okay,
Wednesday night is 8:05.
So they did confirm. Okay, that's good. I would have sent him down. And let me tell you why. Okay. You're going to play 175 games in the majors in your first year there to be a major league guy. You've got 187 days in the season. What would be the problem of him missing 15 to 20 games and then coming up and being on your team for the rest of the season? That way, you keep him for an extra year. You have him under contract for an extra year, or under control. I'm sorry, not contract, under team control for an extra year. That's 7 years instead of 6. And all you're doing is sacrificing 3 weeks out of the first part of a season in which you are clearly the best team in the division. That sounds cheap. That sounds mean. It sounds holding things back. To me, that sounds like good business. That's what I would have done.
And then you tell Parker Meadows goodbye. Thank you. I know at one time you were one of those can't miss cute prospects. We'll pinch your little cheek and go on your way. Because I'm done with that. I'm kind of done with that experiment, Shep.
It would have been. I would guess it would. This is just a guess. It would be either him or Wenzel Perez. I think Perez is a much better offensive player.
Agreed.
I think Parker Meadows is a much better defensive player and a much better base runner. It doesn't help you if you can't get on base, though, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's the way I looked at it, And by the way, I get that feeling on Parker Meadows. I think it's shared by many people. I think sometimes you have to be a little careful because of some injuries that he's had. But, you want to make sure that you're judging guys the right way. For example, Jace Young. Jace Young had made some adjustments this spring. He's looked really good. He didn't make the team, not that he should have. But I think there's a lot of people based on what he's done in a brief stint the last 2 years that they gave up on him. And I hope that they wouldn't do that. I mean, if you've got a young player and a first-round pick, you want to make sure you give them the benefit of the doubt and get them as much help as they can in the minors before they come up and can help you in some way. So we'll see what happens with it. I don't know who would be that last guy, but it's got to be between Meadows and Perez. But I'm happy for McGonigal because it sure seems like he's made the team, or sure seems like he's earned that opportunity.
No question. You know what I liked about him, Shep, is, he started out hot and then he went through that little swoon and people said, okay, see, he's not ready, and he got it back. That's, how many times do you see a young player just kind of wallow in the mire and shucks and all that, and he got it back. That's exactly it. I thought that was huge for him.
Yeah, but I think he's at like 250, Sean.
Sure.
I think he's only batting like 250 in the spring. So that's nothing to write home about by any stretch. He's going to have this at the big league level too, by the way.
Yep.
I've been as impressed with his defense as I have with his offense, to be honest with you. And numbers don't reflect everything, especially batting average, as you and I have talked about. But I do believe, a guy who's that much plate discipline, which is something this team lacks greatly based on last year. So great plate discipline, more walks than strikeouts. If the ball's not finding a hole, that's the way it goes. But he's getting on base. He's finding a way to do that. I think he's done all the right things, and I'm happy for him. And I hope he starts on the left side of the infield somewhere, and he does it on a regular basis. I got to be honest with you. I think AJ will bat him at the bottom of the lineup. I'd have no fear batting him closer to the top of the order as the season continues to grind on because of his plate discipline.
Shep, what's interesting, and I know we got to get out of here in a second. I mean, I don't know how anybody else couldn't say this. I'm seeing a lot of people talk up the Royals, and Pacoda actually had the Royals, I think it was at 86 and the Tigers at 85 wins.
Really?
I was actually surprised. I looked a couple days ago because I like to look at that stuff because me, I'll go, oh, that Pacoda dude, like it's some dude just sitting in a room. That Pacoda dude, he knows stuff because some people just swear by that stuff, but I think they're good measurables. It's fun to look at before the season started. But yeah, the last time I looked at Pacoda, I think it was like 86.7 for the Royals and like 85.9 for the Tigers or anything. I'm with you. I just don't think it's going to be that close. I think the Tigers are that much better than everybody.
Well, I would have thought the same thing a year ago and I was wrong. So it's hard for me to go out on that limb early on. Injuries play such a role. I will say this about the Royals. They have Vinny Pasquantino, I think, is a really good player. Bobby Witt Jr. is an elite player. Michael Garcia is a really good player. Salvador Perez is in the fountain of youth. And Cole Reagans is a hell of a pitcher. They do have some pieces. I just don't think they have as many pieces.
I agree. Greg is being mean. Greg said it's time to talk about your Sparties going 0-2 against UConn Thursday and Friday. 1-1. I thought the basketball season would end here. I think Michigan State hockey has learned some hard lessons the last couple of years, and honest to goodness, I think they got a little run in them. They know, hey, it's great to win 3 Big Ten titles in a row and everything, but ultimate success or failure is based on what you do in the tournament. So
I also think have them ready. I think Trey Augustine is kind of taking it personally. So I expect him to be one of the better, if not the best player in that region.
Yep. All right, Shep, anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Not really thrilled with what the Lions did, but I understand they're taking up some space and they needed some guys to take up space. I'll be excited to talk to you about the draft as we get closer, because I think people have forgotten they have 9 draft picks. Not that all of them are going to make the team and all of them are going to contribute right away.
There are 3 days. I don't know if you knew that, Shep. There are three.
I did know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So see, I'm glad we do this that way. That way, people now know that.
They like what the team is right now, Shep. That's it. This is what we're going to the season with, man.
Exactly. That's why I don't understand why people don't. Are you not looking at the Super Bowl odds? What's wrong with you?
Kyle said, did you see the NCAA hockey bracket? Nobody is safe. It's a really weird year because some of the traditional powerhouses out of the Boston area aren't there. So it's a really weird year in that regard. So
but now that the power is in Kalamazoo and East Lansing and Ann Arbor, that's a good thing. I'd be careful of Penn State too, though. Be careful.
Yep, no doubt. All right, you guys, we'll see you later. Alan said, how can we join you to talk? What do you mean?
You just do, Alan. When we appreciate it.
I would hope we try to chat.
Scott said, any comment on being able to watch the Tigers on Thursday?
See, I have it on my provider. It's like, I think it's channel 213.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Comcast, it's 201. I think that's where it's going to be. They have to have a channel. So just so people are aware, MLB Network is going to produce the games, a producer out of New York and the director and so on and so forth. They'll cut the games. All the local guys, the Chiron operators and so on and so forth, or the Chiron, the statisticians, the camera guys will be on site as usual. But you have to have a channel. It'll be the Detroit Sports Network. I'm sure it'll be that channel because it's going to be available. And the question I think a lot of people may have, though, is what is going to be on that channel when there is no game? That's the big deal, right? If the Tigers aren't playing, or the Red Wings aren't playing, or the Pistons aren't playing, and I don't know what's going to happen with the Pistons after this year because of FanDuel being gone, what is on the air? Well, usually there are restrictions on how many times you can replay a game. You can't just show the same game over and over and over again. So I don't know what those restrictions are. I would guess once, probably the very next day. Other than that, they better find some programming, right?
You know what? That was a great tease, and I think it's time to announce. Shep and I are very pleased to announce we're going to do like a Sonny and Cher variety show where Shep and I will be singing and dancing, doing some duets together. So that'll be on that show, so you'll be able to see it. All right?
Yeah, it'll be great, and then it'll last for a short period of time, and then the Tigers will want me off. So then we're going to have to move on.
You. All right. We'll see you guys. God bless you. Bye-bye. See ya.
Shep and Sean. Featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.